Okay. Okay. Well, we do have a few minutes left. We might have another one join us. This is I while I'm waiting for them, I'll tell you a little bit about this. Um, I I grew up in the Dallas area, and I also lived there quite a few years of my adult life too, in the Dallas area. And my aunt was a member of of a book club in Dallas that she always told me about it. They would have someone come in and talk about the book. It wasn't a discussion group, although even though I'm trying to recreate that here, I'd love to have discussion with you all, especially today. A little, we're a small group, but what they would do is they would have a professional book reviewer come in and present a summary of the book, or maybe even sometimes they even had costumes, or they would dress up as one of the characters of the book, if it's a fiction book, or well, I guess, or it could be a biography. And these are these types of groups are extremely popular in the Dallas area. And in fact, for almost 50 years now, they have this event at Highland Park United Methodist Church every summer called the Rejabian series, because it was started by Mrs. Rejabian. She was the one who brought this type of book club to the Dallas area. And all over the DFW Metroplex and as far south as Waxahachie, because that's where I used to live, they have this type of book club. And so, as popular as they are in Dallas, no one anywhere else does it. I mean, I guess I get, yeah. No one in Austin has heard about it. I mean, I've called people at the Austin Statesman that do book reviews. I've talked to I've talked to people who run bookstores, any kind of book library people. No one in the Austin area or Houston and other places. I mean, I'm sure maybe there's another place in the country that does it, but I haven't found it yet. And so, but I've discussed it with Corey that I would like to try bringing this type of call it entertainment. I don't know, this type of group to Leander specifically, since we're in Leander. And he said, yeah, let's give it a try. And we'll see how it works. I'm not a professional, as in these people who were actually paid to present to the Dallas book clubs, but I'm again, I'm giving it a try. And this month, I'm doing a book it's a nonfiction book this time, and it's called The Hidden Life of Trees. Now, you can purchase this book with all the photos. I'm going to show you some of the photos in a minute. Beautiful, beautiful photos. Or you can purchase it. There's another, you can get a hardback or a paperback without the photos. This is the photograph edition. And it's beautiful. And I'll tell you a little bit. Let's see here. The man who wrote the book, and I've practiced pronouncing his last name. It's Volobin. I'm not saying that probably very well. Peter Volobin.
Sounds professional.
I practiced, but I'm still sure I'm butchering it. But he's a forester, or for decades he's had a career as a forester, and he has written this book. And he started out, I guess I'll go ahead and jump in. If we may have others join us or not. So I'll go ahead and begin. In the beginning, when he was first hired, his job was to assess a tree's suitability for the lumber mill. Okay, there were all of these criterias, which trees in the forest would be good for this. And so his perspective was all about market value and quality as it pertains to lumber. But, and he says, and that was a very narrow point of view, of course. But he says 20 years ago, in his statement in the front of the book, he says 20 years ago, I started leading survival training in the forest. He also did log cabin tours and spent time in the forest with tourists that were there in the log cabins. And he also came up with an alternative to traditional cemeteries or graveyards. You have persons who are cremated can have their ashes buried in the forest. That was interesting. So he got into all of these other different aspects related to the forest that weren't lumberyard anymore. And I want to point out, this book was first published in 2015. It's had several reprints. So when he says about 20 years ago, it's really probably more like 25 years ago now, based on the information of when it was published. Now, there's all kinds of information in this book about the fascinating things that trees do, how they protect each other, how they communicate with each other, how they communicate with other trees nearby and trees that are in the distance. They communicate by using scent, electricity, vibration, sound, sight. It's just incredible. Some scientists believe that trees can feel pain, that they huddle together, that they have a tree brain and it's located in their roots. It's just really fascinating material. But one of the things that really stuck out in my mind, that I've kind of been pondering ever since I read it, was was the fact, or was thinking about how plants and animals are categorized. Now, I don't know if I've ever thought about how a scientist decides this is a plant and this is an animal. I mean, don't we just know that from, from young kids, this is a tree, this is a pig, I don't know. I don't really remember ever talking about that in biology class, high school biology class years ago. And I don't know that it's something that I necessarily really think about very often, but every once in a while, something will come up, like, for example, coral. How is coral a plant? Or not a plant? Or, I mean, coral is,
living,
yeah,
right?
What were you going to say, Kathy?
I say it's living.
It's living. Yeah, and like, oh, so that's an animal? And just every once in a while something will come up that'll be kind of a mystery to me. But really the idea of categorizing things as plants or animals, I've just always, I mean, it's just not something I've thought about very much. But I'm on page 36, and let's see, where would be a good place to start? Well, he's talking about how scientists are arguing a particular point, and he says at the end of the day, the situation threatens to blur the boundary between plant and animals. What? And he says, and so what? What would be so awful about that? The distinction between plant and animals is, after all, arbitrary. That's what he says. And depends on the way an organism feeds itself. Okay, so I guess when you break it down to the the very basic, why is this a plant and why is this an animal? It depends on how they feed themselves. Animals eat living things. They eat other animals, or they eat plants, or they eat both. They're herbivores. Is it carnivores, herbivores, or omnivores? So really, if you have a question, is this an animal or a plant? Animals eat other living things, okay? And then a plant feeds itself through photosynthesis. And so, but now as they're learning more and more about trees and other plants, the questions have come up. Fungus, for example, he says, and I don't understand this, but he says that fungus is not really exactly a plant, but not really exactly an animal. Whoa.
Is that like a mushroom? Because like mushrooms.
Yes, like a mushroom. Yeah.
So like
a fungus.
Portobello, they can use it as a meat substitute. People, vegetarians.
Oh, that's interesting.
Portobello
makes me less likely to want to eat one for some strange reason. If something can't be declared distinctly, whether it's plant or animal, and I'm recently like exploring this whole vegan thing because of a recent diagnosis. I'm like taking 6 major food groups out. So
wow.
Now I'm kind of paleo, which I guess is vegan, but with some meat. But I don't know about mushrooms. I'm not sure if I want to add those in or not now.
Because now people will grill portobello. I've never done it, but those really big ones you see at the store, and use that as their hamburger patty, let's say.
That sounds interesting. I might try that.
So you might just Google portobello, the great big ones, that you see at HEB or Randall's or whatnot. But yeah, that's
got to taste better than like the fake gluten, some of those fake gluten buns, the gluten-free ones. Taste very bizarre.
I always think gluten free breads or whatnot taste like dirt. They don't really have a flavor.
Yeah, I think some of them do. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Jennifer.
No.
I'm on another tangent.
No, I wanted to hear all of that. And I'm just thinking, there are some doctors that have written health books, and you see them on PBS or something, or interviewed by Dr. Oz or something like that.
That's what I was thinking, Dr. Oz, yeah.
Really think mushrooms are healthy, like they're a super health food. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know. It's something to look into, but for some reason, the mushroom falls into this fungus group. Yeah, and it does, even though we eat, most of us eat animals every day, for some reason, all of a sudden, knowing that a mushroom might be kind of like an animal, it makes it creepy all of a sudden. I don't know.
Honestly, Kathy changed my mind, and I'm going to seriously,
Okay.
I'm going to put mushrooms on my grocery list because,
Okay, well,
I hate to miss out on something that would be good for me. If it's healthy, I want to try some new dishes.
And
there
I
are
think myself
several.
is like cremini mushrooms, which are the small portobello. They have so much more flavor than the white mushrooms.
You know how to spell that?
Yes, it's Cremini. It's cremini. They're the baby portobello.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
and you can see, because I like, and a lot of times I'll buy they're brown mushrooms basically, but they're right there next to the white regular button mushrooms, and they might be a little bit more expensive, but you have to really do your math, because sometimes like an 8-ounce package is more expensive than the loose ones where you can actually choose yours. And they have a lot more flavor, so I'll use them over a white one unless the white ones are on a great sale. Then you just buy more.
Oh, I'm getting hungry right now.
I know. Well, I like to make veal marsala, and I'll buy like 2 pounds of cremini mushrooms just because I love the mushrooms so much.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. What time should we be over?
Well, I'm not fixing it tonight, but I'll let you know when we can
Okay.
all gather.
Right? Socially distance.
No more social distance. No, 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 no.
Would you believe I got a vaccination appointment
Oh, you
for
do?
I got one for today at 2:00. And I thought, well, 2:20, I thought I wouldn't be able to come to this meeting. And then the weather ended up being so bad, I was going to have to drive an hour out to Elgin. And so then the weather was so bad, I thought, I don't think it's safe. So
Right.
fortunately, it was in an HEB. And I thought they're going to have tons of people coming in and out. And so they'll be able to give the shot away. I didn't want it to go to waste, but I thought there's no safe way to get there today.
No. And
Oh,
matter of fact,
sorry.
I was looking that the HEBs are starting to have them now, but the ones here in Leander not yet. So I'm watching it. Like, it's so weird how they distribute. Oh, we're off on another tangent, but it's how weird that they take. Like yesterday, it was Abilene, Lubbock. This morning it was Beeville, Elgin. I'm like,
My
Houston.
niece is the super tech whiz, and she's actually the one who got me the appointment. She told me when you go into the HEB thing, she said, don't put your zip code in, just scroll down and
Right.
find your neighborhood. And she said, if you refresh from time to time, new appointments, and I guess well, yesterday was Wednesday. So I guess there's a certain day during the week, but she's trying to watch out for, one for me. Jennifer, I'm so sorry. I derailed your
No,
your plan.
no. I think it's wonderful that we're just a small group today and we can visit like this.
And
Jennifer,
this
did
is
you
your
get your
first time,
vaccine yet?
Jennifer?
We're
This is your
sharing helpful information. This is my, well, with people here. This is my second time. This is just my second time. I just started doing this. Now I did do it. I'm not completely brand new. I did try this for 2 or 3 books when I was in Waxahachie. There's a senior center in Waxahachie, and I did it there. And it was so much fun. And then I moved and I haven't done it for a while, and I'm trying it again.
I was wondering when you were introducing the book, do you have teaching experience? Were you a teacher or do you teach?
I'm a teacher.
You are?
Yes. I
Okay, I wondered about that because I'm a teacher too. And
Are you? I'm an online teacher. And in fact, I've been an online teacher since before the pandemic, before it became a thing.
that's so exciting. Well, I'm really glad to know that because I really felt like, you have such excellent qualities for this book reviewing. I thought, I bet you're a teacher, so I kind of guessed.
Oh, Tina, thank you.
You're welcome.
What and where do you teach?
I teach at Wiley Middle School. I'm their art teacher, but I'm currently at home because of on FMLA because of COVID. My doctor won't let me go back. Well, first he said I need both vaccinations, but I had an appointment with him yesterday and he said, Tina, you really can't go back till fall because
wow.
he said it takes, even after you get your vaccinations, he's an immunologist specialist. And he said, your antibodies have to have time to mature. So he said, by the time you get your first shot, then your second shot a month later, he said, you're really not going to be good to go until fall. So I just had to tell my principal that, but I'm just praying that there's a substitute in there who really needs the job for the full school year. And I thought
Sure.
maybe that's just God's plan to help her family out, while I'm not supposed to be there. So,
Oh, and we are kindred spirits here.
right?
That's so sweet.
Well, I'm excited about painting trees. And when I saw your book, I was really excited about the pictures in it and all that, because it looks like a beautiful book.
Oh, it is. It is. Let me, I can switch my camera to, this is about plants. I mean, Kathy and I are both on the Active Adult Advisory Committee. And at our recent meeting, we were talking about community service projects. Now I'm going to go a little bit off track here too, but I'm still
This is your lesson plan, right? It's your lesson plan. So you can go anywhere you want.
There you are. You're the teacher.
Right.
Well, believe me, this wasn't a plan, but
I'm so excited for your email yesterday.
oh, good. Okay. Tina, the Baghdad Cemetery is at the corner of Baghdad and Hero Way. It happens to be the final resting place of my mother. And my sister-in-law's family, okay, she's married to my brother's wife. Her family for generations and generations are back all the way to the 1800s are buried in that cemetery. And it's a historic cemetery with a lot of history. I know.
It has the marker. It
has a historic marker, yes. Well, and actually in my sister-in-law's mother for years and years, I don't even know how many years, was the president or the chairman of the Leander Historical Society. And she did all of these. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure she was probably responsible for getting that historic marker there.
I taught history for years. I love history.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, this keeps getting better. This conversation is completely not about trees anymore. Anyway, so we're at well, let me back up. I got this idea, like, I want to plant a butterfly garden at the cemetery. This was just an idea that came from somewhere. I want to plant a butterfly garden at the cemetery. Okay.
That's great.
So I talked to the cemetery association chairman and she said, yeah, I think you could probably do that, but we need to do this and this and this, and you need to get your, and so it was just something that I was going to, it just didn't, it was going to happen someday.
Could we do an art installation at the butterfly garden?
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow.
It's just going to keep going higher and higher.
That would be completely amazing. Like, do you want to know how much I love butterflies?
I know.
Can you see how much I love butterflies?
Oh, she's got a tattoo.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
It's a tree.
Wow.
It's a tree with monarch butterflies.
Oh my goodness. This is okay. So
I hope this doesn't hurt our chance at a long-time friendship, because I am a very eccentric artist. So I am definitely.
Oh no, I love that. It makes me love you even more. It was just, it's on my list of things I want to do someday.
Great.
And so, but I it never occurred to me to talk to the city about helping me or to even, I mean, it was pretty personal to me. I
Right?
thought I did talk to two other women who have family members that are buried there at the cemetery, and they like the idea. So I mean, I had talked, but making it a big project, it didn't ever occur to me to ask for help.
Mhm.
So
Are all three of us in Crystal Falls then?
I'm
I,
in Mason Hills.
You're in Mason Hills. Is that far from Crystal Falls? I'm not
It's
sure
on,
where that's at.
we're at Crystal Falls. I'm at Crystal Falls and Lakeline by the, kind of by the Randalls, but catty corner. It's our
Got it. Okay.
subdivision.
and
Anyway.
I am at Crystal Falls in between 183 and 183A. Well, Blockhouse. I'm
Oh,
I'm
you're
right
Blockhouse
next to
area.
Blockhouse. So anyway, at the committee meeting, Kathy says, I think we should do a pollinator garden. I don't know if that was the word you used.
No, I said, is there something we could do, like to clean up the cemetery up there?
Okay.
Because I pass it all the time. Yeah.
She brings up the cemetery. I can believe it. I could
It's so
not
weird.
believe it. I'm so I just I never even ever said anything to her or anyone else on the
No.
committee about it, and she brings it up, and then and usually anything that involves the city, there's so much red tape to go through and so many people to ask permission and everything. But then Corey, who's head of the active adults, said, yeah, I think we should do that. And then one time, and then since then, I talked to him on the phone, and he said that for our project, we can use all the city parks and rec department equipment, anything we want to use, shovels or
Cool.
he said power washer, but actually, I don't think we're going to be able to use the power washer.
Probably not on the gravestones. I think he thought he was gonna be able to
they're so old.
hold,
They'll
they'll
crumble.
disintegrate. Yeah.
Yeah. So but anyway, he said we could do that, and we have at least one garden club, if not two now.
I know it sounds
Maybe.
like there's a little bit of a conflict. You know how women get when they have their pride, when they have their club and they don't like someone competing against them. But so it sounded
It
like
could
there was
happen.
some-
We're trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
It's not a problem yet. We're trying to do
Which
what
I
we
found kind of weird
avoid.
anyway, because it's, to me, even I didn't think that the cemetery was a city cemetery. I thought it was not privately owned, let's say, but it some historical committee probably took care of it. But I don't guess that really is happening either. And I don't have
Well-
anyone in it. I just see it all the time, and I'm always fascinated by older cemeteries. And I always see it, and it's gated off. I mean, it's fenced off, so it looks pretty secure. But I just was thinking, oh, that would probably be a nice gesture because it has the historical marker and it's got a nice fence thing, gated area. But the other day when I was passing by, I was like, how are we going to park? We're going to have to park more on Baghdad at one of those.
Well, you probably can't tell. You can go back there.
Well, I'm sure, yeah.
There's place. In fact, every year in June, they have a clean the cemetery day and a barbecue.
Oh,
And as a fundraiser, there's a board. You said, is it public or private? It's a really kind of, again, talking about gray areas, categorizing.
right.
Kathy's tried to explain this to me. Kathy, my sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law, yeah.
Because her mother was actually the Texas state chairman of Save Texas Cemeteries, I think it was called. And it was something that, again, something I'd never really thought of before until I met her. And as it turns out, a lot of cemeteries now, they're owned by a corporation.
Oh, yeah.
And the corporation maintains them and blah, blah, blah. But these historic cemeteries, they fall under a whole nother category. It's like they're private, but they're public, but they're not owned by the city, but the city, you know, it's,
Yeah, kind of like, I was wondering, even like I guess the one in front of New Hope Church is probably owned by the church.
maybe so.
And
I don't know, but yeah,
Anyway,
these
yeah.
old historic cemeteries. Well, so I'm thrilled, but we're also, but to Tina, to let you know, the butterfly garden that we're going to put at the cemetery is going to be fairly small, but the big community garden that the active adults are going to plant is going to be larger and in another location. And Corey just brought up, you know, the larger community garden that will attract more people would be more appropriate at a different location than the cemetery. And that made sense to me. I mean, we want to do something pretty for the cemetery, but we don't really want it to be an attraction for the public in general necessarily. So, but the Leander Public Art Commission also, you know, part of the city, they do art installations. So if you are interested in that, I could definitely put you in touch with someone. And when I served on the Public Art Commission, I was part of the park bench
that's what I was going to
installation.
say. Christine Setterquist lives in our neighborhood, and so she said that they used to, with LPAC, that you did the benches.
Yes, I was on the bench committee.
That sounds
was
like a
so
great
much
idea.
fun.
Right?
The 3 benches that are in front of the library.
Yeah, I love, and I liked when they did those things at Christmas time. They had some, I don't know, people would go up there and paint different things on the big boards, not big boards, but like a screen at the library. Was that LPAC too?
Oh, that was
Was it like a mural?
Yeah, like a mural.
yeah.
I've done a
I
bunch
wonder
of
if that was a
murals.
library program.
I love murals.
And then doing another painting thing was, Corey said, and I never even noticed this before, but at the HEB on Heroes Way, there's a little train.
Yes.
And I just noticed it the other day because he had mentioned about doing the big train like they have down at City Hall. They have a big train on the wall, a mural. No, that's at LP. That's at Leander Parks.
These different organizations, they collaborate a lot together, like we're talking about doing with the garden. And the trains, I think, was the Leander Chamber of Commerce, but some of the members of the Public Art Commission painted them.
Okay. Yeah, because he was saying maybe we could get a train, you know, a train engine for the seniors to paint.
Yeah, I bet Tina would be interested in that.
There you go. And it's something that can be done social distancing if people are still worried about that proportion.
Yeah. Maybe maybe.
Turns.
I don't know.
Take turns. You know,
by the time it was planned and implemented, it would be fall.
Oh,
at
yeah.
this point. So we'd probably be good to go.
I hope
especially
so.
with it being outdoors.
Right. Well, I'm excited about. So anyway, well, Jennifer, how did you choose this book?
Okay. Well, okay. There was a book club in Austin that chose this book. I was reading about a book club in Austin that chose this book one month, and then I read about it and I thought, oh, that is fascinating. And then if you are interested in learning more, also the author has done some TED Talks, and he was actually interviewed quite extensively when the first book came out. He was on a lot of talk shows being interviewed, and it just was it seemed so interesting. And actually, again, back to a personal note too, probably why I'm one of the reasons why this interests me so much. My mom's family was in the nursery business. And my grandfather used to sing to his Easter lilies.
Aw,
My-
very nice.
you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think my, you know, I don't know, he didn't talk to everyone about it because I know some people would think he was kooky, you know, but
But
he
no, the word is eccentric. We use
There
the word
you go.
eccentric.
I've always heard
oh, I'm
those.
sorry, is that more politically correct?
No, but don't you remember you're supposed to talk
That's
to your plants?
that's the one I use. I like to refer to myself as eccentric because yeah.
Okay. Well,
I haven't
well,
sung to my plants yet, but I like the idea.
oh, well, you know, I mean, now that you mean, of course, I love the word eccentric and I love people who are eccentric. I don't know if I would really, and this is the interesting thing about this is my grandfather really wasn't that eccentric. Even though, I mean, it might sound like it if I tell you he sang to his Easter lilies, but he really was, you know, that's what makes it all the more spectacular. Is he was really kind of a pretty practical, matter of fact kind of guy. I don't, or I'm trying to think of other ways to describe him, but he had worked with plants his entire life. He started out raising orchids when he was just about 19 as a hobby. And then he went into the business and he did florist business and he had greenhouses and he did landscaping and he did kind of every aspect of the plant business. And he really, something about being around plants so much, whatever his personal experiences were, he felt like that they enjoyed a certain type of music.
I agree. I agree.
You agree, Kathy?
Yes.
There's science behind that
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
plants
well-
respond positively to, like, you know, Bach and certain classical pieces, but they don't like the headbanger, you know, rock kind of stuff.
That's
So,
marijuana,
yeah.
I think, grows well with that.
And how would you know about that, Kathy?
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Oh, don't mind that plant back there. Yeah,
I'm a teacher. I better stay out of your backyard. I like my job.
I'm kidding.
Okay, well, I'm going to switch my camera and I'm going to show you some of these beautiful pictures. Oh my goodness, this might be the most fun I've had at a book review ever.
You're sweet.
I'm so glad you two are here. Okay, well, I'll just let's see here. See if I can show you some of these beautiful pictures with this camera. I always have trouble adjusting it. It's kind of wonky.
They're
It's
It's like
tricky.
when I read at the library, I've been doing those videos at the library for the children's book, and she's got the camera set up like here, and so I'm trying to hold the book like this.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see the pictures and read.
Well, looking at this beautiful photo, it makes me, I see the moss and I think, oh, I wonder what category moss is in.
Mhm.
Is it considered a fungi? I don't know. I wonder if it, because that's kind of an unusual
Living.
category too, moss. I've grown some moss. This is the forest. Oh, here's the author.
It's in a root.
Sleeping at the root of the trees.
Like
Oh,
that.
look at this. Now, have you ever thought about or studied the process of how leaves change color? That was a whole interesting chapter in this book, or part of a chapter. Because I mean, I just know, you know, that some trees, their leaves turn a different color at autumn, but I didn't really know the
I
science.
think it has to do with the sugar content of the leaf. itself
Yes, you are
can determine the
right.
color.
Really?
I know up in Ohio, you could, I'm a Buckeye, but you can't, kids in elementary school just cannot go through a school year that they don't do some kind of tree leaf project.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. That's a staple. But I don't remember ever like, I mean, this goes into some more detail about when and why and how that all happens. Now, oh,
Wow,
here are the roots.
They're big
those are some
roots.
scary looking roots.
They are. It looks like a monster.
Yeah, it's really probably just maybe on a slope. He talks about this in the book. You know, if a tree is growing on a slope and gradually the dirt is being washed away, washed downhill, um, the trees have to grow in a certain way, and they have to, especially more than in other circumstances, intertwine their roots to kind of hold their spot and not roll down the hill with the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now look, this is
That's a beautiful
gorgeous.
one. That's a good one to paint right there.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Kathy. Do you
Oh, that
have
was
any ideas
Tina.
yet, Tina? What kind of trees you're going to paint?
What I was thinking was, I had done the wildflower photography the other day with Kathy, and I was thinking it would be fun to have the group do a wildflower shoot where we go out and shoot our own photographs. And then if we print up a copy of our favorite one that we want to paint, and it would be good to talk to or teach people about the rule of thirds, and then take that photograph and then have another meeting or outing where we do a watercolor off of that photograph.
Did you see the watercolor
Wow.
event that's going on at Lakewood at the end of the month?
I did. Yes, I signed up for that one too.
Oh,
I kind of went gangbusters, Kathy, and pretty
me
much
too.
signed up for almost everything
Me
because
too.
I want to encourage a program like this. I think it's so important.
Yes, definitely. I know, and I
Excellent.
don't understand because I put it on Seniors on the
And
Go,
honestly, I'd teach too.
and I said, I was like, all you have to do is open up your computer and sit there and talk to people or see another face rather than your husband or no one. You know, it's just, I don't understand the lack of participation. I can't even fathom it.
You know what I think? I'm just going to guess that it's that people are not aware of it, that they don't know what's happening now. I know a lot of people are cooped up, but I think that it's getting the word out. Just maybe they need to do a news article
There
in our
is.
newspapers.
Corey's got the email that he sends out if you're registered on LP, Leander Parks and Rec. I put it out on Seniors on the Go.
Well, I've been here like 3 years, and I just heard about it and got involved. So
Oh,
I don't know how to get the word out as far as like Crystal Falls here. I don't know if the Crystal Falls people have put anything in their newsletter about it.
oh.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but it's
everything's so associated
That's
with
an excellent
Facebook.
idea.
And I even put it on our Mason Hills HOA Facebook page, not HOA, Mason Hills Facebook page, and say, we've got this, this, not club, but group. Please let your neighbors know if they're over 55 to get involved. It's
I'm
right
going
at
to
the
do that with the
library.
Crystal Falls HOA. I'll contact them and ask them to please put a note in about this program because you're right. We're definitely underserving the community because there's so many people who are ages 55 plus who are, kind of homebound now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's just, I don't know. It's a point. It's, my husband hears it all the time from me because, I'll say, I don't understand. At Seniors on the Go, there's 223 members that read my blurbs every week or every day. And just like,
Am I a member of that yet? Like, because I signed up for this stuff, am I a member of your Seniors on the Go group?
let me see. Are you on Facebook,
Yes, ma'am.
Tina?
The Seniors on the Go is Kathy has organized that, and she's done a fabulous job.
Well,
But
I
it's
really haven't,
separate.
I didn't organize it. It was
Oh.
Doris. Doris started it for her mother, and then I just started a couple of years ago, but
Oh, nice. But it's separate from the city. I
yes,
just
oh
wanted
yeah.
Tina to know. It's
Okay.
that's a separate group from the active adults.
I'm going to look for you on Facebook then.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have you on here, but I can invite you.
Well, this is fungus, and I don't think any of us should eat this. I don't know, but
That looks gross. Looks like a spider web.
but let me see if I can find the where he says fungi are amazing. They don't really conform to the one size fits all system we use to classify living organisms as either animals or plants. By definition, plants create their own food out of inanimate material, and therefore they can survive completely independently. It's no wonder that green vegetation must sprout on barren, empty ground before animals can move in. Oh, I'm this is too long. But anyway, he says that they're not really a plant, they're not really an animal, they're something in between. That's just amazing to me. I don't know what that means. Okay, this is
That's a little mushroom.
yeah, these are now these are the kind of mushrooms you should never eat, right?
I don't
It's
know.
so pretty though.
They are pretty.
They are pretty. There's some kind of
Students are
mushrooms
doing-
that are poisonous.
The students are doing a lot of mushrooms. Like last year, they represented mushrooms.
That doesn't sound good,
art.
Tina.
Well, I did a clay unit with them, and I was surprised how many students did beautiful representations of mushrooms. And I was slightly concerned, of course, because of the drug factor, but they did a beautiful job with their mushrooms.
Good, good. All right, yeah, and here's some
Look
more.
at those. Those are pretty.
Yeah. You can see the pictures in here are just beautiful. Okay, and this is snow covered moss on bark.
I love
And,
bark.
yes. And
It's
then,
got such beautiful
look at
texture
that.
and depth. Wow, look at that one. That's gorgeous. Where is
Yeah.
that tree? Does it say where that's at?
Let me look and see. I think it does. It's a variation. Well, what is this? Oh, cutting trees above browser height, a variation on, I don't know this word, but it has something to do with how tall they get, is a traditional way of providing a steady supply of naturally renewing timber. Okay.
Have
I
you
guess
all
that's what
seen-
he's trying to show in this picture. It doesn't say where it is,
It's
but
gorgeous.
it's a way that they cut the trees for
Oh,
lumber without, see,
Right?
the whole part of the tree's still there.
Right.
it's so gross.
Have you guys seen the tree that's in the Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley? And they stop for like a lunch. The tree is so amazing. I think it's in the UK, but I'm honestly like, as soon as we're allowed to travel again, I want to go to the UK and I want to find that tree and have a lunch right
Wow. It's
It's
very specific.
watch
It's-
the credits of the movie.
there. Right? Actually, yeah, I think you can Google it because other people have asked that question too. To see the, the homes and the tree where that was shot would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now these, believe it or not, these little things are trees. Again, it's
Wow.
that thing of classifying and categorizing. These are dwarf Siberian pines. And this is in Russia. And
It's amazing that anything grows there, because isn't Russia always really cool?
They hold at a height of 20 inches for decades. I would have never thought they were, but there's a reason why they're considered trees and not shrubs. It's one of those classification things. But it would have never occurred to me that that was a tree.
When you were
Oh.
introducing the book, Jennifer, I was thinking about that movie Avatar, where the tree is such a central focal point for the sort of Native American community. But it's, they had touched on the idea that the tree would have a soul or a life or a connective property. And being that I'm Native American, like my great great grandfather was like a I don't know what you would call it, like the doctor or the shaman or something.
Medicine man.
Yes.
Yeah, he was like the medicine man for the tribe. And I know that the Native American culture has a great respect for nature and for the
Yes.
the life and energy of it.
Yes, and yes, and I think that's very healthy and wise and good.
How pretty that is.
Yeah.
I love all the reds thrown in there. Red and green are complementary colors. Anytime I see red and greens together, and then with that white bark and then the deeper values that you see in the mud there, or the dirt, that's a very pretty picture.
Really is. These trees are beech.
The white.
That's beech are one of the trees that this forester works with. Okay. And seeds. Oh, there's like all of these trees, they're organized in a certain way where they plan together whether or not they're going to, let's see if I can, before they bloom. Oh, here, I did find it. Before they bloom, they agree among themselves. Should they go for it next spring, or would it be better to wait a year or two? Trees in a forest prefer to bloom at the same time so that the genes of many individual trees can be well mixed. It's incredible.
Wow. Nature's fascinating.
Yeah. This is wrapped in their fluffy packaging. Poplar seeds strike out via airmail in search of new pastures.
Like cedar.
Yeah.
That's cedar dust.
They say actually it's juniper ash. Did you know that,
Yeah.
Kathy?
Yeah.
I think it's so funny. As soon as I moved to Austin, like 3 years ago, my niece was like, "Oh, Aunt Tina, you're going to die because the cedar is just going to kill you," because I'm allergic to pretty much everything.
Oh.
And I actually went and got tested, and I'm not allergic to juniper ash.
Huh.
So thank God for that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes for newbies, I think it takes I don't know, 7 to 10 years before you start getting an allergy to it. But if you're taking precautions, then you should be good for allergy in general.
Look at the colors in this picture. I knew after you said red and green, I knew you'd love this.
Beautiful texture.
Yeah. These
When
are
you
maple
said beech,
trees.
Jennifer, when you said beech before, I've heard of birch, but I haven't heard of beech.
Oh, Beech.
I'll
I
be
don't
darned.
think it's native to our area. Yeah, maybe there'll be a better picture of them here in a little bit.
Jennifer, do you have any relative by the name of Ginger Howell?
No.
No, I have a friend, Ginger Howell. Well, more of an acquaintance from one of my churches in Houston. But she moved out to, I think, someplace near Lake Tahoe. She takes the most gorgeous pictures and she'll share them on Facebook. lots of trees and beautiful things. I'll save the pictures because they're so beautiful. I want to paint them, but
Oh, yeah.
I just wondered if you all might not be related. I guess, of course, lots of
So
Howells.
I don't, I love the name Ginger. No,
I
I don't know
do.
that I have a ginger relative. So there's the fog over the trees. Oh, look at this. This is,
Ooh,
well, it's a tear in bark streaked with pitch.
wow.
Yeah,
Is that just the bark of the tree?
yeah, there's a tear in it.
Yeah.
And the book talks about what the trees do to in an attempt to repair themselves when they're broken, when their bark is broken,
yeah.
or
That's a
attacked
red
by a wood
color.
bear.
That pitch
Yeah.
color was red, where I was thinking that pitch was something that, like when our tree person came, we have a huge oak tree in our
Uh-huh.
backyard. And as soon as we moved in, we called a tree surgeon group to come in and do everything they need to do to preserve and take care of it. And after they did certain pruning, I know they took, I thought they called it pitch, but it was black and they put it on
Yes.
those spots. So is that red stuff actually the tree
Well,
creating its own pitch?
I, well, of course, I don't know how this is affecting the color, like how it's showing up on your screen.
It looks
But
very red.
from
Yeah.
here, there is definitely a lot of red all on this page.
Right.
Yeah.
But really the pitch is black.
In
And
the
he did
center
the
on the
author.
vein, like on the vein.
Oh, I see. So then that's probably applied by a person.
Oh, no, I don't think no. It
So that's
talks
naturally
about how
occurring, huh?
yeah.
The tree is
Cool.
fixing itself.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. I didn't know they could do that.
It's amazing what trees can do.
Right?
As I learned from this, it really is
That's
incredible.
great. The desert.
I wish we had more trees on our property. We have three. We've got the one big one in the backyard and then two smaller ones. They were planted by the builder in the front yard. And I've told my husband I would love to plant more trees here, but I think because we're built on such solid rock, I
Yeah.
think it's very hard to plant trees here.
Have you ever seen a tree with an odd shape
That
like
looks like a
that?
seat to me. If you
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
low
A little
enough,
chair.
you could almost
Yeah.
sit there. My daughter's 22 and she loves climbing trees.
Oh. Oh, and so then look at that.
Fun.
Beautiful.
Pretty.
Yeah. Well, let me just rattle off some other things here that I learned because I Tina, if you would like to borrow this book, I am more than happy to share it, and we can talk about social distancing. I could just wrap it up and put it in my driveway, and you can come by and pick it up. I'm
You're
more than
so
happy to
sweet.
share it. I'd love to share it with you.
I'm gonna
Especially if I know
check it
you're
out
gonna
on
use the
I'm gonna
same.
check it out on Amazon and see if that's one that I want to add to my library.
Okay. So some of the things trees do is, and I had written down, this scientist's name and this university and this, but it sounds like I can just tell you, and you all can check on the science behind it later. But the trees, when there's a group of trees, they're friends, they're a family, they're all there in the same vicinity. They will grow their branches in a certain direction so as not to, they don't want to keep this tree over here from getting sunlight. So their branches will go in a certain direction as to allow their neighbors to get proper sunlight. But
Wow.
they actually like to be closer together. And I thought this was interesting because I'd always heard, say like when you are planting trees in your backyard. Of course, that's a whole nother situation. It's not a forest. So I know we can't treat it the same, but you know, that you want to spread them out so that they have enough room to grow and their roots and all of that. When actually, a lot of tree species prefer to be closer together because they help each other. Um, it's really incredible. Like they help each other in the wind, in the cold, and the all the weather elements. It's incredible how they work together. They even they really are that. That was another thing. One of the main things that I got from this is that trees work together as a team, as a community. And so if this tree is being attacked by ants, it can release a scent that can warn the other trees nearby, hey, watch out, these ants are in the area.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible. And then they also communicate through their root system. There's a vibration, and let me see if I'm going to look at my notes here. It said, well, kind of along those same lines, I wrote here that in their research, they recorded actual sounds that were like a vibration. And then the author says, well, what's the big deal? You might say, oh, well, what's the big deal? Vibration. But then what was the amazing thing was how the vibrations were made. It was very similar to how we use our vocal cords and we push air through our vocal cords. So somehow the tree is pushing air like a windpipe. Is incredible.
Gosh, that's crazy. Who has time to think of these things?
Well, I guess, if you're in that, if that's your profession and you love research, again, see some of the TED Talks. There's some really great TED Talks, but now I forgot, what was I looking for? Oh, the electrical. Oh, this is what it was. Okay. So when a human skin gives off electrical impulses too. I guess I didn't know much about that either. But trees do as well. And so trees give off electrical impulses that travel by nerve cell at the tips of the root. And he said, so they measured it at 1/3 of the electrical impulses travel at 1/3 an inch per second. And he said, well, you could say, oh, well, that's not very fast. That's not a big deal. But he said it's actually a similar speed as a worm or a jellyfish. So their electrical impulses and are similar to that of a jellyfish. Wow.
It's faster than what I would have guessed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I really knew about. He said some people may say, oh, well, that's not very fast. Seemed fast to me.
And that seems fast to me for a tree. I mean,
but especially when you're comparing it to an animal, if you're thinking a tree and a jellyfish, wow. And
totally different kind of beings.
What's that?
Totally different kind of beings, like living beings.
Yeah.
Have you guys read the book called Imagine Heaven? There's this book out, and it just like it is a religious book. I mean, it's Christian based, but there's a lot of science in it. and it talks about people's near-death experiences. And it's funny how many times trees and plants are mentioned in this book. I found the book very interesting.
Wow, tell me again and I'll write it down.
It's called Imagine Heaven.
Wow, okay.
This guy had a near-death experience himself, and he was actually pronounced dead for like 60 or 90 minutes or something, and then came back. And so he became interested in examining the science behind near-death experiences. And then, of course, people would come back and talk about what their experience was. And so he wrote a book about, imagining heaven. And it was interesting, the trees and the plants and their activity, their movement, like the way that you're talking about how the trees here have those vibrations. Many people came back from a near-death experience and said that they saw trees and grass and plants that literally they described it as like a vibration. So that just is interesting with what you're saying.
Oh, well, I could go on, and you all have, we've been at this for over an hour, but really either one of you, if you want to borrow my book, I'm more than happy to share it. Let me know. Now next, I'll just tell you a little story about next month. As I said, I'm an online teacher, and one of the things that I teach is English. I
do
have
you
students.
teach, what organization or like who do you teach for?
I teach English through VIP Kid, and then I teach some other subjects, including arts and crafts.
How cool is
By
that?
the way,
You guys are more like kindred
I know,
spirits
it's just
there.
it's wild. It's wild.
Hey, they're not
I mean, we
hiring,
need to-
are they? Jennifer, are they VIP? Are they hiring teachers? Because I'm currently like unemployed. So
I need to tell you about OutSchool.
yeah, I need to hear about that because I don't, we do okay with me not working because my husband's working, but I do miss, my job. If I could teach online, at least until I go back in
talk
the
again.
fall.
How can I?
How would we do that?
I'm gonna put my email address in the chat box. Okay. And one of
Alrighty.
my students, who is she is a middle school student in China, and she is a voracious reader, and she is very fluent in English. I mean, even though she's taking English lessons from me, she's very advanced English. And she loves to read, and she knows I love to read. So she always makes book recommendations. Well, actually, we do it either. We say, have you read blah, blah, blah? Oh, so we make book recommendations to each other. And she told me one day, she said, you have got to read this book. Oh my goodness. She was like, this one has got to go at the top of your reading list.
Ooh, how interesting.
What is it?
The 3-body problem. I'm going to write that.
I only have one I have a problem with.
Right. Me too. I currently have complaints as well, Kathy.
Now, I hope I've done the right thing. I have I'm only this far. I'm only this far into the book.
Who is that by? Is the author is Chai Jin Liu? By Liu. I'll go with Liu. Cool.
Well, he translated it. Here's the author.
Yeah.
Cixin. Oh, you did get it right. Liu.
I don't know. I don't read Chinese well, but
it's in English. It's in English.
Right. Oh no, I meant his name. I don't know that that's the correct pronunciation. My daughter wanted to teach me. She speaks Mandarin.
Wow.
Oh.
I know, right?
That would be interesting.
Okay. See, who speaks Mandarin?
My daughter.
Oh my goodness.
It's fun to
Okay.
go to Chinese restaurants with her.
Oh, sure. So
Oh, it's the New Yorker.
Times recommended it, and it won several awards. So,
Cool.
it wasn't just my student that thought it was great.
Sure.
It's won several awards. So, but I tell you, after I read a little bit of it, and she said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Okay, honestly, I had to get over. I was a little bit disturbed at the beginning because it's pretty violent. And so I'm warning you all too. It's pretty, I mean, if you decide to read it, it's pretty violent at the beginning. It kind of shook me up because I was like, oh, she recommended this.
Yeah.
But if you look at 3-body problem, it's a physics thing.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, it's like if you just Google 3-body problem, it's some kind of physics. So I haven't gotten far enough into the book.
Mhm.
So what's it about? Read the back.
Yeah, I'm going to read the back. Okay. Set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution, a secret military project sends signals into space to establish contact with aliens. An alien civilization on the brink of destruction captures the signal and plans to invade Earth. Meanwhile, on Earth, different camps start forming, planning to either welcome the superior beings and help them take over a world seen as corrupt, or to fight against the invasion. The result is a science fiction masterpiece of enormous scope and vision. Now, let me just tell you this too. I told my student, I said, it's science fiction. You don't usually read science fiction. And you're recommending this book to me, and it's got violence. And this isn't, she's a Pride and Prejudice girl. Right. So I was so shocked that she recommended this book, and she said, oh, no. I know I don't usually read science fiction. I know I don't usually read things that are violent, but you've got to read this book. So without really knowing that much about
Well, my
it,
husband's a sci-fi person, so I'll.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry,
okay.
I didn't mean
don't
to
really
interrupt,
read
honey.
science fiction either, and I try to stay away from violence, but I'm reading this one, and this is the book that I'm going to talk about when we meet in March.
Cool.
Okay. So that'll be different. I'm a little bit nervous too, because I told Corey that I would do that book without really knowing what it's about.
Oh.
That's kind of fun. That's daring, if everything's so predictable, and if we know everything in advance, where's the element of excitement, right?
That is daring. It's like I have no idea why this came to mind, but I used to do activities. I used to do the programming for an assisted living center. And one time I invited this group from the Renaissance Fair. And I was like, oh, I hope I haven't made a mistake. I don't know. I don't even know what that means, but I was a little nervous. And then to make it even more nerve-wracking, the district, my boss's boss showed up when it was happening.
Were they in costume?
And they were in costume. And the district manager said, I think that's the best program I've ever seen, given by an activities director. And I was like, oh, yeah. They were fabulously talented. I wasn't worried about that. I knew they were talented, but I just didn't know if this sounds, I don't want to sound judgmental. I don't mean it like that, but I didn't know if they were going to take their shirts off or,
well, those people in the Renaissance and Scarborough Fair, those people there, they are true believers of what they're doing, and you kind of give, you know, they believe that they are in that era when they're in their costume.
Oh,
Yeah, they do
well,
stay in character, don't they?
Yeah.
My daughter went
Yeah.
to several of those. The one in between here in Houston.
Yeah, Scarborough Fair.
My daughter's a theater person, and her high school theater person used to take the kids to the Renaissance Festival every year.
Oh, I love it. I didn't, so that's why I said, oh, I feel bad sounding judgmental. I didn't mean, hopefully you all knew it in the spirit
Oh,
that
no.
I was,
Yeah.
that I, you know, when
Jennifer, that
actually-
never even crossed my mind about you.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I would not even think that, okay?
Okay. Well, it actually, really, it was that way every time I presented a program. Actually, that one was really bad as far as nerves, but I just never knew how anything was going to be received. You know, when you were doing
Anymore,
it,
it's hard to know.
how anything was going to be received and what they were going to do. Okay, well, anyway, thank you so much. Tina, you've got my email now, and
Yes, I do.
oh gosh, it sounds like we have like 50 topics to cover.
You know what? I should put mine in the chat too, like mine,
Okay.
just so that we can stay in touch.
I'll just put mine. Although I think
Yes, please.
And Kathy's excited about the garden, and I am too. And just
are you guys doing the birding thing tomorrow?
So which thing?
Birding.
Birding? Yes, I think I signed up for
backyard
that.
birding.
Yeah, but that's online too, right? I think
Yes,
I
it
signed up
is.
for that one.
It's at 10 in the morning though.
I don't know if I can. I miss a lot of things. I miss a lot of the programs because I'm teaching.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But I'm gonna make it a point to do more. Okay, so I'm writing down the
I'm trying to see
email address. Okay, well, thank you. Wow, this was more fun than I could have imagined. I really appreciate it. And Kathy, I'm really looking forward to working with you on the garden.
Yeah, and I'll see you next week at our meeting.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, ladies.
All right,
Goodbye.
bye. Thank you.